Hey everyone, welcome back to Podiatry Unfiltered. Before we start, if you may hear some birds chirping in the background, that's because I'm not in the office filming this today. I'm actually sitting outside our RV. We left Florida on Saturday. We're spending a couple days in Myrtle Beach, and we're making our way up to Virginia Beach for our youngest who plays soccer, and they have nationals all during the week, this upcoming week. So we'll be out of town until the next 8 days. It really is honestly moments like this that it really reminds me why I love being in private practice. I love being independent because I want to be able to go when I want to be able to go. In all fairness, it's not always that easy, but I get my kid's schedule very, very far in advance, and then I block off all the important things. But this came up actually pretty quick. So we had to have our staff call the patients on schedule and then move them. One of the greatest gifts to owning our practice isn't necessarily making more money. It's having the ability to build a schedule that fits your life, that fits your lifestyle, right? When our kids have something important, I want to be there. Tim wants to be there. When we want to take the RV somewhere, we're able to go. Being an independent practice, though it's not always easy, it definitely has some major perks. When there's a soccer tournament, a family event, or something else that matters, I don't want to spend my life asking somebody, can I do it? I don't want to ask for permission. That's just kind of one of the best benefits of being independent. That's one of the main reasons I'm always so passionate about private practice and independence, especially for these younger podiatrists that are coming out. I talk to probably at least twice a week. I talk to two podiatrists at least who are are interested, and they've been out for a couple of years, or they are in their residency, and they wonder, is there a different alternative to just joining private equity? And there is. When you're an independent podiatrist, you get to design your practice around your life instead of designing your life around your practice. And that actually leads perfectly into today's topic because I want to talk about one of the biggest business mistakes I thought I made. It was a business I shut down in 2017. And if you've listened to my podcast before, you know that we had health issues in the family and things like that. So that played a role as well. But the business idea that sat in the back of my mind for almost 10 years because we closed that business in 2017. So it's 2026 now. And I recently decided to try again. Today, I want to tell you the story of what I thought was a failure, what I learned from it, and why I think it may end up being one of the best things I've added to our practice or added back to our practice. Back in 2012, I had this idea. I opened what was called the Natural Nail Spa. And when I say I opened it, I mean I went all in. I created a separate S Corp. I got separate insurance. I hired not one, but multiple nail technicians. I had to have the state come in, inspect everything. I had traditional pedicure tubs, which I wasn't a fan of, but I wanted to have the whole experience. I had my nail technicians doing manicures. I had them doing pedicures. I had all the things that make up a nail salon. And for 5 years, from 2012 until about 2017, I ran that business alongside my podiatry practice. So it had to have separate insurance. Like I said, it had to have all the things. And patients loved it. The nail technicians were great. The experience was pretty great for patients as well. But eventually I realized something. Economics were terrible. A manicure might be $30, a pedicure might be $60. I think that's what we're charging for our highest end pedicure. But at the end of the day, I had a room occupied for an hour generating salon level revenue instead of medical office real estate. And that math eventually catches up with you. And then 2015 happened. Tim had the diagnosis of colon cancer. And as many of you know, that was a difficult time for our family. And then after that experience, I started looking at everything differently. I had less energy to manage the two separate businesses, the two separate S Corps, filing all the things. Less interest in juggling separate corporations and separate insurance policies and separate staffing. And by 2017, I just closed the spa. The idea sat in the back of my brain for almost a decade. Every year, I would see dermatologists adding cosmetic services. I would see plastic surgeons adding more med spas. I'd see OBGYNs doing hormone replacement and weight loss. And I just couldn't get the spot. I'm thinking with podiatry, we could do something, right? I would see these wellness clinics doing the IV therapy and recovery services. And I kept asking myself the same question. Why aren't podiatrists doing more of this? What can we do? Where's our niche in that cosmetic recovery piece? Why are we limiting ourselves to what insurance companies decide we're worth? And over the last several years, we've added a lot of services to our practice. A lot of cash pay services like the class 4 laser, soft wave, different regenerative medicine, PRP, of course, custom 3D printed orthotics. I love that one. I finally decided to revisit this idea, but this time I approached it differently. No separate company, no separate S Corp, no separate insurance, no separate business entity. We simply added these services to our existing practice because we're only doing below the knee things. The same way every other specialties do every single day. They just add those services into their practice. Now, before everyone starts messaging me, asking me if I formed a second LLC, bought another malpractice policy, or created a complicated corporate structure, the answer is no, absolutely not. I've already done that before. I've learned that lesson already. But what we're doing now is exactly what we see dermatologists and plastic surgeons, OBGYN, and wellness physicians doing every day. They're incorporating services into their existing practice. And I think it wasn't until we got more comfortable doing the cash pay stuff that I'm like, that's what we need to do. So what we did was we renovated one of our unused treatment rooms, nice lighting, fresh paint, new flooring, a water feature because that's what the nail tech wanted. And we launched our Medi-Pedi spot right inside the Center for Ankle and Foot Care. And let me tell you what happened. Week one completely changed my perspective, like completely changed my perspective. The very first client we had in the spa was a man. He'd just undergone hip replacement surgery, still active, still golfing, but he wanted a safe environment for his pedicure, and his wife booked this. So we charge $150 for our waterless Medi-Pedi. It's a medical pedicure, of course, done in the podiatrist's office. We have a nail technician who she does the massage, the steamer. She does the foot mask, the warm towels, like all the things that's under her license. She's my employee. And she doesn't do anything risky. She's trained by us. She also did the Spalding pedicure course back in the day, like 10 years ago, because she was one of my original nail technicians. I just kept in touch with her. Guy came in and he was blown out of the water and he's coming back. He was excited. He was ecstatic. He sung praises and he booked another pedicure for 8 weeks. $150. Now, in olden times, in 2012, I priced myself too low. So these patients were paying like $40 for something like a quick express pedicure. Not worth the time in my room, not worth the time for me to pay the pedicure nail technician. Yeah, but he was thrilled. That first day that we were open, we had 2 people that came in that room. Again, the first was a guy who had a hip replacement and he did the Medi-Pedi. And the second was a lady who was a type 2 diabetic, had been a patient of ours in the past. She got our email blast we sent out to all our patients. And she went to the link on our website and she looked at the neuropathy pedicure. So, how that pedicure worked is she came in, Brooke saw her and did the massage and things like that. And then I came in the room and I talked to the patient about how the laser for neuropathy works. And I explained to her that it's usually not one treatment, that it's multiple treatments over a period of time. And she actually was like, hey, listen, I want to try this, but I think what I want to do is I want to come in once every other month. So she's coming she's gonna come in every 2 months to get the laser pedicure. And we charge $300 for that. Now, just for completeness sake, we normally would charge $300 for the laser for nail fungus or neuropathy or for musculoskeletal acute pain. So now instead, and not a lot of people do the pay as you go. This is giving people an option to test out these things, see if that's something they want to do, but they're getting this like whole experience in that hour long time. So, so I feel like we're giving patients a lot of value who are interested in trying these things, but we're also giving us value back too, because we're not having somebody in that room for $60. Brooke does the pedicure, the massage, the steam treatment, the towels, the whole 9 yards, the whole experience. And then, the podiatrist just steps in, we explain everything, and then the patient may decide, hey, I don't want to do that class 4 laser. And they just may do the 150 Medi-Pedi, which they're fine with. But this lady decided to do it. She left feeling better than she walked in, and she booked for 2 months later. Then we had a patient book online for a fungal nail pedicure. So she was seen on Wednesday of this week. She found us online because she was specifically searching for medical pedicure. Brooke got started. I popped into the room and explained her treatment options for the laser for toenail fungus. I told her we could continue with maintenance pedicures every couple months, or we could treat the fungus more aggressively. She'd actually booked the $300 pay as you go laser pedicure for toenail fungus. I'm always really honest with patients. And I came in the room, I told her that, usually what we do is we do 4 treatments over a 9-month period of time. And we usually do the 4 treatments over the period of time. We do 1 month, second month, third month, all consecutively. And then the last one is done 6 months after the last one. And she originally booked for the 300, and then what she did was she decided to convert to the 877 package. She got the medical pedicure. I comped that, and that is a much better, well spent use of time of that room that was making no money at all. The patient was happy. Brooke made more money because Brooke gets a percentage. Practice made money. The patient was happy. Brooke was happy. Everybody won that day. But that is really when I realized what I got wrong back in 2012. The pedicure was never the business. The foot was the business. The relationship with the patient was the business, making that connection. Also, people are paying for services that are more luxurious. So this medical expertise, really that is the business. So what we're creating isn't a nail salon. It's really, hate to steal this term for chiropractors, but it's foot wellness, it's foot health, it's recovery, it's performance, it's prevention. It's an experience that only a podiatry office can provide. But here's the bigger lesson. Most podiatrists are sitting on unused space. I know because I've visited enough practices to see it. Rooms sitting empty, rooms generating $0, rooms that are costing rent, utilities, overhead every single month. An empty room generates exactly 0 revenue. But you can't do what I did back in 2012. You can't have that room open for services. Like, again, when we originally did this, the National Nail Spa, we had somebody doing manicures too. A high-end manicure, maybe 30, $40. It's not worth it in your room. So you need to be smart about how you pose this. If you're doing any of the regenerative medicine stuff, this is something you could definitely add. Maybe it's a medical pedicure. Maybe it's a laser. Maybe it's regenerative medicine. Maybe it's the recovery services, which we're working on recovery pedicures with a laser for athletes after a marathon, after a triathlon. We're encouraging people to come in, get the pedicure, do the pampering, and then have the laser done by the doctor. But I think a lot of us have opportunities sitting right in front of us. In fact, I'm calling it the athlete recovery pedicure. I think it's going to be a huge hit. We're in Central Florida. We have runners, triathletes. We have all these cyclists and golfers. The package will include a medical pedicure, a massage, steam treatment, foot mask, class 4 laser recovery treatment, not beauty, recovery, performance, athletic maintenance. And I think athletes are going to love it. So if there's a lesson in today's episode, it's this. Sometimes an idea doesn't fail. Sometimes the way you execute it failed. Sometimes the pricing failed. Sometimes the positioning failed. Sometimes you were simply ahead of your time. I shut this idea down in 2017 thinking it was a mistake. Looking back, I don't think it was a mistake at all. I think it was trying to run a nail salon inside a podiatry office. Today, we're running a foot wellness program inside our podiatry office. And those are 2 completely different businesses. Thanks for listening to Podiatry Unfiltered. I'm Michele McGowan. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully, everyone has a good Father's Day. And if you have an idea, that's been sitting in the back of your head for years, maybe it's time to revisit. You might just be one adjustment away from making it work. I think this episode will resonate because it's really not about medi-pedis. It's about practice ownership, learn from failure, you using unused assets and designing a practice that supports the life you actually want to live.